Hey, what's up? Back in the winter of ye old 1997, your pal Thrill, 10 years old, got his very own PlayStation for Christmas. At the time, I remember opening it up, and my first thought wasn't, oh, sick, I got a PlayStation. It was, I'm been bamboozled. That's because in the months leading up to Christmas, I'd been bugging my mom. I had it in my head that I needed a PS1, and I've been bugging my mom like, hey, can I get a PlayStation? Hey, can I get a PlayStation? And she was saying no, until eventually she got mad at me and said, look, no, we don't have the money for that. You have to stop asking. And so in my little kid brain, I was like, oh, okay, right, we don't have the money for that. That's fine. So it's completely off the table. And I completely forgot about wanting a PlayStation in the sense of getting it for Christmas at least. So when I opened it up, my first thought was like, oh man, they lied to me. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? Parents sometimes, they kind of trick their kids or whatever around Christmas. And yeah, I was surprised, but that first thought has stuck with me all these years still. I don't know. Along with the PlayStation, I got Final Fantasy VII, which I have no idea why they picked that game. But I'm glad they didn't, because it melted my brain. That was the first JRPG I'd ever played, and I had no idea what I was in for. But what was less exciting was that they didn't give me a memory card to go with the game. So I had a new PlayStation, I had my very first JRPG, and no way to save the game. It was at least a couple of months, I think, before I eventually did get a memory card. And up to that point, I had actually managed to finish the first disc of Final Fantasy VII somehow without saving, just by brute forcing it day after day. 1997 also happened to be the year that the official US PlayStation magazine first went into publication. And I don't know if I got it with my PlayStation or maybe I bought it later, but I had the first issue and the first demo disc. A demo disc came with every issue. And that was mind-blowing for us at the time. I think for all of us PlayStation kids growing up around that time, we all have at least one core memory associated with one of those demos. And I don't know, I think that's super cool, so you should tell me if you do have one of those. Those are always cool stories. My allowance was 2 entire human dollars per week, which meant that getting a magazine itself was not easy, let alone getting a subscription. And oftentimes when I'd go down to the 7-Eleven and I had to make a choice, comics would beat out the PlayStation magazine. It all depended. So I had kind of a patchwork of issues, and really I was getting them for the demo disc, which I think was the case for most of us. So playing the first PlayStation demo disc is one of my core gaming memories. So let's go check it out. The disc opens with a pretty cool intro. They actually made a ton of these, and you could tell that they were going for a futurist sort of presentation. I think it's cool. On the disc, we have Intelligent Cube, Parappa the Rapper, Tomb Raider 2, Fighting Force, Ace Combat 2, and NFL Game Day 98. First up is going to be Intelligent Cube. This is by G-Artist, they're a Japanese studio. They made a shooter, Fiosoma, and the RPG Popolo Croy prior to this, which were both on the PS1. Kind of curious that there's a 2-player option, but I have no friends, so 1 player it is. The demo starts you on stage 2 for some reason. I don't know, maybe stage 1 is a tutorial? Anyway, the goal is to clear the blocks as they approach without damaging the black blocks. When you destroy a gray block, nothing happens, but when you destroy a green one, you have a leftover green square, which when activated destroys everything around it in a 1-block radius. In the top left, you can see a tracker that keeps track of which segment of the stage you're on, with there being 4 in total. And then there's this counter here, which I think is an optimal clear counter. I don't know, I'm not really sure. Clearing all of the blocks without damaging any of the black ones results in a perfect, and a perfect gives you an extra row of blocks on your board at the end, so you have more space to work with. Destroying any of the black blocks will result in a row being taken away. The demo has no sound, which gives it a sort of sinister overtone, as the only sounds you do hear come from your steps and the endlessly marching blocks. I was absolutely crushing stage 2. Whenever you enter a new segment of a stage, the blocks rise up from below, and if you stand where those blocks do rise up, you get sent tumbling, and the reaction of your character gives the impression that it must really hurt. When you clear a stage, the total rows you have left are counted for your bonus. I thought for sure this would be the end of the demo, but you're actually sent to stage 4, skipping the third entirely. Hachimachi, this is a pretty long demo actually. I started off strong on stage 4 with a perfect. And I was doing great until I made this mistake. I forgot I had 2 green squares prepped already and blew up a couple of black squares as a result, which meant I lost some rows and couldn't get a new row added with a perfect. Thankfully, I managed to recover and clear the board though. But just a few minutes later, I did it again. Disaster! And this time I had to blow up even more black squares just to survive. With basically no room to work with, this set off a cascade failure and I kept losing rows. Then I got run over like a bozo. I wasn't thinking, no! You get an IQ score at the end. 66. Yeah, sounds about right. I jumped back in, determined to beat the demo. And again, I absolutely crushed stage 2. Finally, it was back to stage 4. Stage 4 started off well again. Then I made a huge mistake. I broke this green block, and there was no way to activate it without destroying black blocks around it, so I had to wait so long for it to get far enough away so I could activate it safely. And while I was waiting, I got myself run over again and died. This time my IQ went down. 63. It's so insulting, it's hilarious. So back in I went. I crushed stage 2, as is my custom, and was back in stage 4. And this time, yeah, it was no problem. The game tallies your score again at the end of stage 4, and then all the blocks fall away and you descend into the aether. Bye. I got an IQ of 91 this time. Booyah. 1 demo down. Next up, Parappa the Rapper. This is a rhythm game like Bust a Move, in which you follow the adventure of the dog Parappa as he raps with the characters he meets. It has a Paper Mario vibe graphically, and the raps are hilarious.
Kick, punch, it's all in the mind. If you wanna test me, I'm sure you'll find the things I'll teach ya. Sure to beat ya, nevertheless you'll get a lesson from teacher.
You match the inputs at the top in time with the song, and you're rated on the right side. The goal is to have a good or cool rating at the end of the stage. If you reach awful, you can lose before the end of the song even. I love that posing is one of the moves at the dojo. The button timing feels weird in this demo. I feel like I need to be slightly late with my presses, like I can't be right on time. I almost lost in the final level because it's so awkward finding the sweet spot. I actually got good on that one. Felt like it was WOah. First try.
You can go on to the next stage now.
Yahoo! All right.
Next up, Fighting Force. Fighting Force was made by Core Design, the same people who did Tomb Raider. They also released Swag Man and Blam Machine Head in '96 to middling reviews. The demo opens with a pretty cool title screen. You can choose between Alana, Hawk, Mace, and Smasher. I went with Smasher. Alana is such a strange name to put in there. I don't know, how would I call her Crowbar or something? The game starts with your character beside a highway, and yeah, it's a 3D beat 'em up. There's no music again though, and I wonder why these demos don't have any music. Anyway, they give you a couple of guns to try, so of course I went for the bazooka looking thing, but it's friggin' hard to aim. I just completely missed this guy somehow. And then I missed the car, what the crap, man? After that, I let everyone into traffic to see if you can get them run over, and yeah, you can. But they just shrug it off like it's nothing. I got them run over a couple of times, but they were totally unfazed. Then I tried to fight, and yeah, they beat the crap out of me. This time I went with Hawk, thinking he might be a little bit faster. I somehow completely missed the guard again at point blank range. Do I just suck, or is the aiming janky? My fist took care of him though. You get health drops occasionally when beating up enemies, which is nice. Next I went to brawl with the dudes by the car and figured out Hawk's special attack along the way. Normally in beat 'em ups, doing a special attack takes health away from you, but it seems to be free, in the demo at least. After wrecking those bozos, I punched the crap out of their stupid car. Another bazooka looking thing flew out of the trunk, nice. I blew up the gate and finally landed a shot on a guy. He was totally indifferent to getting hit with a rocket though. So I ran into the parking lot and fought a couple of waves of the same enemies. I mean, there's not much to say really. I finished them off and the demo unceremoniously dumped me back into the main menu. Next up is Ace Combat 2. This was developed by Namco, who released Tekken 2, Soul Edge, and Ridge Racer in '96. So needless to say, Namco was absolutely on fire at this time. The game presents itself like a flight sim, but it has very arcadey controls. You're given mission objectives to complete, usually requiring you to blow something or someone up. You have a time limit and a fuel limit, and if the damage percentage hits 100%, then you're dead. There's no music yet again, which feels super weird because the first game in this series, Air Combat, was all about those Top Gear Joe Satriani type jams. The plane is controlled with the D-pad, so it takes some getting used to, but it's actually not as bad as you might think. After flying around a bit, I brought up the map and headed towards the objective. You can actually ignore any non-objective enemies, although they may attack you, of course. Looks like the objective is to blow up this carrier, so yeah, that's what I did. It was actually really easy. I just flew by a couple of times and fired missiles at it. Then when I was getting ready for the last pass, I discovered you can go above the clouds. Pretty friggin' rad. I started my last run on the carrier and then this happened. My plane just nosedived into the ground and then the game ran a bunch of replays from every conceivable angle. Hilarious. Demo down. The last two demos aren't playable, but they're worth checking out anyway. The first is Tomb Raider 2. Oh, this is a non-interactive preview, my bad. So Tomb Raider 2 is made by the previously mentioned Core Design. Anyway, get ready for an incredible preview unlike any you've seen before. What the crap was that? Was that supposed to sell games? Swimming was already a thing in Tomb Raider. Literally the only thing different in this preview was the outfit. The magazine mentions that too, which just underscores how cringy the marketing around Tomb Raider was.
Wait, don't be fooled. She's just a regular Malibu Stacy with a stupid cheap hat. She still embodies all the awful stereotypes she did before.
But she's got a new hat.
After that crappy non-interactive turd, the only thing left is to check out NFL Game Day 98. Game Day 98 was developed by Sony Interactive Studios America, who had already done some awesome games by this time, like Twisted Metal 2 and Jet Moto. The demo claims that this is the only polygonal football game for the PlayStation, and I think that's true actually. NFL games on the PlayStation prior to this use sprites as far as I know, but if I'm wrong, let me know. Doing mocap back then was a total pain, so it's pretty cool that they did it. Honestly, this move looks totally useless here. What? The hype of having the zone blitz in the game. I have no idea what that is, but hot diggity, they're hitting us with the latest football tech.
Biggest things in NFL right now is the zone blitz, so they're going to incorporate some of the zone blitzing into
Oh my god, the zone blitz.
that we play now.
And that's pretty much it, really. So that's the first PS1 demo. My pick for the best demo is Parappa the Rapper. It has so much character and style. Fighting Force was probably the worst playing demo, and that Tomb Raider 2 preview was remarkably lame. Hey, thanks for watching. You are super excellent.